Hey, this is Alan Powell from the film The Song. You're listening to Dispatch Radio.
Well, let's circle back around, folks, to Woodlawn. I talked about this movie. I screened a very rough cut of it. It opens officially on October 16th. You're going to love this film. And for those that are looking to find a way to reach out to some of your Christian brothers and sisters, it's got a sports theme. It has sort of a race thing with a Selma sort of backdrop with violence in the 1970s Alabama. And I'm so privileged to have one of the actors on with us now, Kevin Sizemore, talk about the film a little bit, his role, and also many other projects he has going on. Kevin, how are you, my friend?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
I tell you what, I love this film, and give everybody a little heads up on your role and what your thoughts were on bringing this great story to life.
Well, the whole thing, it was a blessing to be a part of this project. First and foremost, Andy and John Irwin, the Irwin brothers, are out of Alabama, and they gave me an opportunity to come in and play the role of Jerry Stearns, which is the assistant head coach to Nick Bishop's character, Candy Gerald's. And they were kind of connected at the hip, and they were best friends at the time. And a lot of people don't know that when Jerry finished that last season, when the movie is actually over, he ended up taking over being head coach of Woodlawn for many years after that when Candy left. So that was kind of an interesting note. And when I met Jerry for the first time, it's weird because I've portrayed characters that are alive, and I've portrayed characters that have been deceased. But the unfortunate thing here is Jerry and I became very close friends through the course of these 9 weeks while filming, and he passed away 3 days before we wrapped our production, which really shocked the entire production because he came to the set a few times and he met up with all the old players, and they got a chance to see him and hug him and tell him how much they loved him and how much of an influence he had. So that was a really good thing for him to see that. But that was that's never happened to me before, and it's something that's going to stick with me forever. And hopefully I'm just able to, I guess, just make him look fantastic in this movie because he was a special guy.
When you read this script, were you sort of blown away by the true story of this and the fact that many of us really kind of hadn't heard a lot of these stories before?
Yeah, it's weird because I was in Nashville shooting a movie called The Last Best Summer Ever, and I was actually there while my son was shooting the TV show Nashville because he was doing that one simultaneously, and I got a call from the director, Andy, and he says, "Hey, I think I have a role that's perfect for you. I'd like you to read the script." And sometimes you read a script and you have to fight through the first 12, 15 pages, but I don't think I stopped reading it. Now I looked up at the clock and I go, man, this is the fastest read I've ever had because it just made sense. And then when you put it down, you're just thinking to yourself, like you said, how have I never heard of this? Because I'm from the South. I'm from West Virginia, so I'm not really far from the Birmingham, Alabama area, but I just didn't know about that story, and it's a beautiful story.
It was fantastic, and folks, it centers around Tony Nathan. He's a Alabama high school star, goes on to play at Alabama and Miami Dolphin great. He was just recognized here in Florida. For those of you listening to us live on the radio down in Miami, for getting his college diploma, fulfilling the promise that he gave to Bear Bryant. And yet here, Woodlawn is going to come out and really kind of testify to his amazing story and this team's transformation, and also the revival that was happening in America at the time. And Kevin, I mean, I know we touched on, not knowing the story, but even as you're seeing, the rough cut of the film, or you're finding out more of the details, it almost kind of gave me goosebumps. I don't know about you, but I was like, wow, this is really, really powerful.
Well, the Jesus movement happened back in the early 70s, simultaneous when this was happening in Birmingham, Alabama. And as Martin Luther King said, Birmingham, Alabama was one of the worst areas for the problem that we're having in our country at that time. So everything just kind of gelled together at the same time. And what's really cool about this is, you're talking about Tony Nathan. There's an interesting story about Caleb Castile, who plays Tony Nathan. He's from Birmingham, so was Tony. He went to the University of Alabama, won 2 championships, so did Tony Nathan. And Caleb was on his way to going to play pro ball. In his senior year, he decided not to play college football and decided he wanted to be an actor. And my gosh, the first role the guy gets out of the gate is playing someone from his hometown like this. It's special. God's touched this film in more ways than we can ever imagine. It's really, really special.
Of course, we're still talking about Woodlawn, woodlawnmovie.com. Folks, if you need more information, it opens wide on October 16th. I know the local screening that's here in Tampa is going to be selling out here very, very quickly. So you make sure that you can get on the list there, try to get a ticket for that early screening that's going to be happening soon. And, Kevin, you've got so many other projects that we could touch on, so many different things. Let me first just go kind of a big budget film. I know that, you were on Transformers Dark of the Moon. What is it like on such a massive Hollywood scale with something like that? Michael Bay is probably like the pinnacle of massive scale anyway, because he used multiple cameras. We've talked to many other co-stars on different films that he's done over the years and that kind of thing. What is it like on a massive set like that? And then if you could contrast that with something that's so intimate and personal like the Irwin's production.
Well, that's a very good question. I've never been asked that before. When I did Transformers, I was very fortunate to play a supporting role in a movie that was just really for my son. I mean, he's a huge Transformer guy. He's 10 and a half years old, so anything with robots, all that, he just freaks out. And when I got the call to play that, I was blessed to be able to have a great scene. It wasn't something that's going to highlight my career by no means, but it was a great scene for me to be a part of because, like you said, it was a huge production, and you had anything and everything you want. I mean, Michael Bay has pretty much anything he needs to his disposal. Flat over to Woodlawn, when I walked on set, I was blown away. This wasn't just your normal, everyday small production. They had everything you needed and more. I think I was treated better on the Woodlawn set than any set I've ever been treated. The team, the production, the actors, and you've seen the production itself. There's not a weak link in this cast. You see what Nick Bishop does as Candy Gerald's. I mean, he just kills it. He's phenomenal at this role. He embodies Candy Gerald's very well. You see what John Voight does as Bear Bryant and Sean Astin does. We just have a wonderful cast there. And then you put that together with how, when you say intimate, the way it becomes intimate with the Irwin brothers is they are hands-on and they will chat with you. They do take that time to make sure that if something's not understood, it's understood so everyone gets it. And they're also friends of mine. We're together. We're buddies. We talk on the phone a lot. So that's a difference than you would have than a huge $70 million big budget movie. But this movie ends up being a $25 million budget, so they did a pretty good job on this.
So how do you come away now that because you've done writing and producing, you're in the middle of writing and producing some projects on your own now. How does Kevin Sizemore now want to take from that and implement it into his own personal projects, to put his own stamp in there? So people are, whenever people are asking, what was it like to work with Kevin Sizemore, what are they going to look to be saying?
Well, I'm hoping that they're saying is he's a giving actor. He's not a guy that has to take every scene, because it's just like sports. To me, acting is like sports. If the grip and the cinematographer and the actors and the director, they're not all on the same page, none of it's going to work. So if I'm or someone else is trying to take every scene to be about me or about them, that's not what it takes to make a good movie. When I'm looking at projects to do, I look at what I think is fun and what I think is interesting, or what my friends think are fun and interesting. It's kind of funny. I literally just got off the phone call. I got a call just now and offered a role back east. And it's a project that I'm interested in, and we're going to negotiate, and I think I'm going to end up doing that one, which is fantastic because it's a role that I thought about. Well, it'd be great to be a part of that, but it just didn't happen. And then next thing you know, a character came up, and it came my way. When they're looking for projects for me, I just hope that they look back and go, man, these are projects that are passion projects. And some of them are indies because the studios don't want to make some of these projects because they're so different and so unique. But I just... when I look at projects like that, though, it's got to be fun. Because if I laugh, you laugh. And that's kind of the way I look at it.
Well, one that's not quite so funny, but we talked to a couple of your co-stars on it, or actually your co-star and the creator, and that's Sinking Sand, kind of a faith-based sort of John Grisham sort of court drama and that kind of thing. What was it about that film that you think that, appealed to you, and you also think that when audiences watch this, they're really going to come away with?
Yeah, and I haven't seen the rough cut. They've kind of shielded me from that, which is kind of cool because I like to see it for the first time when we all see it together. What was interesting to me was the courtroom. That was what interested me in that character, because I kind of came into the game late on that one. They were going into production, and I know they wanted to add another character and another scene. They started adding to it, and then I came in very late. But when they approached me about the courtroom scene, that's the character that I said, that's what I like. I like that back and forth, that courtroom drama of that quick dialogue and the whodunit aspect, the Perry Mason. And I haven't played that character in many, many, many years, and that was really what was fun for me.
So let's turn it around here. So we have a film called Where Heaven and Hell Collide. You've started this, and it's in development. You're co-writing it. You'll be producing this. Kimber Eastwood is attached, of course. What I loved here is my notes. They highlighted this for me, that it's going to partially involve Bubba, the dog.
Yeah, oh, Bubba, that's my highlight. Oh, man. This story, Greg Robbins, who's directing and also co-wrote with me, and Kimber Eastwood, as you mentioned, is going to be helping us produce this as well. It's a story about John, who lives back in the eastern panhandle of New York, western New York area. And he's back from the war. And what he's trying to do is help these soldiers in the hospital that do not get any attention. The VA guys. I mean, once you come home, if you haven't deceased, you're almost forgotten about. And this story is about not letting these guys be forgotten. And it's loosely based on Craig Krieger, who's Western New York Heroes, WNY.org. You can check out his site there, and he does a tremendous amount of work for the vets back in Western New York. And his dog, his real dog, Bubba, is going to play my dog as him in the movie. And I don't know if he's actually going to get his dog back because he's such a great dog. So I might have to keep him. He's fantastic. He's just a beautiful dog. And Chris is a great guy. And we're having a great time putting this one together. It's a passion project that's going to make a big difference in the world because we're really connected to the military and we love helping them out however we can. Because if it wasn't for what they do, we wouldn't be able to do what we do.
And you can find out more about Chris. He's a former medic in the military, and that is WNYHeroes.org. We'll link to that. Make sure you can check out more information. They're a nonprofit that's working with vets, and just an amazing organization. And I look forward to seeing something like this come to life, bringing some more highlight to these kinds of stories and things that are going on. Or, as you mentioned, certain things kind of get glossed over, and if it's not the ultimate tragedy of loss, sometimes if it's just injury or something like that, or someone's just not hurt, then we don't seem to put our arms around them in the same way, and that is tragic. And
well, it's that out of sight, out of mind syndrome. If you don't see it and you don't hear about it, you forget about it. And I understand that to a point, but when you have these men and women who have done all they've done for our country, and they're sitting there in a hospital and they don't have visitors and they don't have a friend and they don't have someone to talk to, it just breaks my heart. I mean, we were up there visiting with a handful of them not long ago, and we weren't promoting Where Heaven and Hell Collide, but we were there. When I go to certain towns, I like to take time and visit a few people. But Woodlawn was gracious enough to send me a bunch of T-shirts. So when I left, they got a delivery a few days later of Woodlawn shirts. So that just makes them feel like they're special, which they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, Kevin, as we kind of start winding down a little bit, I want to kind of touch on your TV career. Obviously, you've kind of got a string here of some great movie projects in a row and that kind of thing. And I know you've done rounds, got NCIS and 24, and CSI, Prison Break, these kinds of things. And also Under the Dome, that's still going. What is it, first, that you like about TV over film, or vice versa?
Well, what I like about the TV aspect of it is it's quick. You get in and you get out quicker. You knock something out in 8 days if it's a drama. When you're looking at a movie, I mean, you're jumping around and you might be there for 40. Like I think we did Woodlawn, it was 9 weeks. Mm-hmm. But what's great about those 9 weeks is you really have that time to dive into a character and you can make him or her exactly the way you want it. So you're a little quicker on the TV side of it. Things have changed so dramatically in where people shoot now. A lot of my projects have been shot back east. I've been fortunate to shoot a few projects. I just wrapped one last week here in LA, which is great because that's where I live, and it's hard to take me away from my family as much as I've had to be gone in the last year and a half to 2 years. But the aspect of just getting it in and out quicker, I think that's fun, and then you can move on to the next episode, what's happening next. You're always excited and learning. But to flip that, you can really mold your character in a movie to where you can be exactly the way you want it. You don't have to second guess it. Just like the film we did, we just did a movie called True Calling with Greg and Kimber in Buffalo last 2 months ago. And we were there for about a month shooting. And it was that time where I was able to really take a character, because I play the character I am from the Almighty who comes down, and I'm telling this girl truth. I'm trying to get her to do everything I tell her to do to help her save her life, but no one else can see me except her. It's a comedy, so a character like that, you can't just throw it in 5 days and figure him out. You need time to develop that person.
You know, as you've done some of these projects, Woodlawn and Sinking Sand, True Calling, we're seeing these faith-based movies really start to really make an impact on the Hollywood scene, the box office. It's really starting to
But
really.
it's about time, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. Well, and also just the quality of filmmaking. You know, obviously the Irwin brothers, the Kendrick brothers have War Room coming out, and you've seen Sony use a firm to really kind of put a lot of money, Provident putting a lot of money behind some of these films. Have we seen sort of a major twist and turn here, or is it still just too early? We're still not quite there yet.
I think what's happening now is it's getting Hollywood's attention because they realize Hollywood's about making money, point blank. You know, whatever the project is, it's about making money. And I think once some of these projects started realizing that if you put a few dollars into a film and you can cast more than one lead actor, because normally what would happen is they would cast one or two decent actors, and a lot of the other actors weren't really actors. They were just friends of a friend, and they would say dialogue. And, you know, the Christian market really wanted a family film to go see so badly that they would just take their family to go see it, support it. And some of them aren't that good. And that's just the truth. Now you're seeing where these production companies are saying, wait a minute, we can put together more money because we're going to get a better return and bring in better actors. And then we can really give these audiences what they want. Oh, and at the same time, I think Hollywood might like this too because we're bringing in real actors. That's what's happening. I think people are starting to take notice. And for me, it's not necessarily about it being a Christian film. It's more about just being a good family film. You know, that's a secular film or Christian film. It doesn't matter. Just a good family film where you can take your kids, your grandmother, your mom, your dad, your wife, your husband, and you just go and have a good movie. And there's still places for the other movies that are not Christian films. If they want to have other projects out there, that's all great. But they still need to have those movies out there to where we can take our families to and go, wow, that was great and that was inspirational and we learned something.
Fantastic, and definitely the case in Woodlawn, October 16th, and this is definitely a film that moves the ball forward, and that was a pun intended in that arena because the Irwins did a fantastic job, and credit to Kevin and all the cast and creators behind this film. Kevin, I can't thank you enough for fitting this into your schedule, my friend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and have a great day, man. Take care.